We do a lot of the stuff that these guys have talked about today, especially the competitive stuff, competitions, the off-season program. I think it's all important. I think it's, you know, I'd love to tell you it's the answer to the question. That's the answer, or the question we're all searching for is how to be the last team at the end of the year, right? I've been fortunate enough to do it twice, and I can tell you we did all that stuff. All 24 years, we did everything. We did all the competition, the competitive stuff, the competition quarters, the bleacher creatures, all that stuff. And, you know, I was very lucky as a player and as a young coach. I'm originally from Lubbock. I grew up in Lubbock, Texas. I got to play for Coach Bobby Moegle. I don't know if you guys recognize that name. Probably do. At the time he retired, he was the winningest high school baseball coach ever. You know, I literally thought that guy was trying to kill us when it comes to this competition stuff. Like, we, every single day, we would take in and out with 3 baseballs, and as soon as you ran out of the 3 baseballs, he would say to the road and back, which is about a 1.5 mile run. So, and I'm talking whether you were in and out, you might have been a pitcher, catchers, full gear, you dropped everything, you took off, ran to the road, and ran back. And then we started from the very first throw of in and out. Like, first fungo to the left fielder. And it didn't matter if it was, you could have been on the very last throw of in and out. If it was the last baseball, he would yell to the road and back, okay? I think that's one of the geniuses of Coach Moegle. I did that for 3 straight years in high school, that every single day. That's how we started practice. One of the other things that I always look back on, there was no JV, there was no varsity, it was just the Monterey baseball team. Okay, so you had sophomores, well, back then, high school in Lubbock was only 10th, 11th, and 12th grade, so there was no 9th. So it's just 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. So sophomores, JV, varsity, everybody was doing the same thing, okay? I just always think that a lot of times I see now in high schools, you know, guys are working with the seniors, guys are working with the older guys. I can tell you from that experience for me, when I was a senior, Coach Moegle barely talked to us. I mean, he did, but he spent all his time with the young guys, with the sophomores. And there was a lot of survive or you were just done, honestly. And I know it's a different era back then. You could get away with a lot more stuff than you could probably get away with now. Especially, I don't even know if Coach Moegle could coach high school baseball in this day and age, but you did. You had to survive it a little bit. And so, you know, one of the I always thought that was one of his genius things that he did. You know, it's just made everybody on the same level. And so, you know, when we were seniors, the sophomores didn't want to screw up that in and out. You know, just tell you, they didn't want to screw that thing up. So, you know, there was definitely some team bonding, I guess, if you will. Like, you figured out how to play. You figured out how to play, or you couldn't play at Monterey. But you didn't have, I mean, there was no, I think looking back, like, the consistency is unbelievable. You know, it didn't care if you were the #1 pitcher or the starting shortstop or whatever. You did the same thing, but the standard never changed. And I think we've all been in those situations where you're #1, he's been told how good he is for the last 15 years, and he doesn't want to do, or he thinks he's too good to do what you want to do. And, you know, I know in my personal experience as a coach, we've had some addition by subtraction. And it's hard from a coaching standpoint. You know, those thoughts go through your mind like, man, am I going to get rid of this guy? It's our number one. It's going to affect everybody. Because as a competitor and as a guy that wants to win and a coach, you know, you don't want to get rid of that guy because you think, oh, well, we're going to lose without that guy. That's not always the case. The couple times that I've had to do it, it's ended up being the best thing that ever happened to us as a team. The guys came together and they played better, but the standard didn't suffer, right? The standard didn't change. I think, to me, that's the biggest deal, that standard every single day, what you do. I think as a coach, you know, everything that comes out of my mouth to our team, there's a thought process to it, okay? Like, I think confidence and belief is all that really matters. And I say that because, once again, 24 years I've been doing this. We've won 2 national championships. I've had probably 7 or 8 teams that were just as good, or if not better, than the 2 teams that won it. And in fact, in 2008, when we won it, I don't even think we were the best team in the tournament. We had some injuries, some stuff happened throughout the course of the year, and we were a good club, but if you really got me in a room and made me tell the truth, that's probably like the 5th or 6th best team that I've had as far as talent goes. In fact, in 2007, 3 of my 4 starting conference pitchers ended up pitching the big leagues, and we didn't even get out of the regional tournament. In 2008, all those guys were gone. They got drafted. You know, we had a lot of the position players back, but we didn't have any of the pitching staff back. And I think we had one kid on that 2008 team that got drafted. It's a kid named J.D. Alfaro, and he was a dude, but the rest of them, they were just guys. In fact, in 2008, we had a kid named Scott Lawson. He was our 3-hole hitter.
Hold on for a second, I'll call you right back.
Played at Miami. About a month left in the season, he breaks his wrist on a play at home plate. Bang, bang play, 1st and 3rd. We try to go home. Guy throws the ball, collides with the catcher, breaks his wrist. At the time, I know he was hitting our 3-hole, but you're talking about a guy that's hitting like, I think he was hitting like 440, 15 or 16 home runs, and we lose him. And he's far and away our best hitter. But what I'm getting at, we ended up winning the national championship without him. Okay? And there was a kid on that team named Stuart Slakey who was a bounce back from Arkansas, a pitcher who's a 2-way kid, won an opportunity to hit. And so I was like, yeah, we'll let you come out if you'll pitch. And so he ends up coming. He's a part-time guy. He pitches a little bit. The guy ends up hitting, I think he had 5 home runs in the postseason, 3 in the regional and 2 in Grand Junction. 1 off of Josh Spence, who ended up being a big leaguer. All 5 of them were like, I wouldn't say all 5. 3 of them are like game-changing home runs. We don't win without it. And a month before that, the guy's not even in the line. But that team, more than any, they just believed that they were supposed to be there. Like, they just believed it. And, you know, we did the Hell Week. We did all the stuff. We did that back then. I tell you, the last 4 or 5 years, I've kind of gotten away from it. Because there was like 10 straight years we weren't winning national championships, and I just felt like I was killing them every year with all the Hell Week and stuff. And, you know, I just didn't see that it was really pushing us over the line. And so, for me, it's all about confidence. Confidence and believing in yourself. That's literally all it is. And I say that like it's easy. I think that's the hardest thing that we face, is building that confidence and building that belief in your players that they're supposed to be there. And I do think any of the mental toughness stuff that you can do, the competitive stuff, it's going to help that. But at the end of the day, you know, I'll say this, I'm careful, very careful nowadays on everything that I fix, right? Because I'm internally sending a message that something's broken the more I fix it, right? So, like, it's very easy as a coach and as a young coach to want to fix everything, right? Every single swing, every time a guy gets in the cage, every time he gets out. You didn't hit every ball in the barrel. I got to fix this. I got to fix this. I would just caution you for that standpoint. Like, anytime you're fixing stuff, you're telling your player that something's broken, okay? And that doesn't inspire confidence. That inspires, I'm broken and I got to fix it. And so I think there's a fine line, and I wish I'd love to tell you I have the answer to how you do that, which I don't. But I do know that I'm very cognizant now, anytime I talk to our team, anytime I talk to our player, on how I talk to them and how I'm fixing stuff, okay? Because I want to inspire confidence at all times. I want them to believe that they're supposed to be there. And so, you know, when I address the team, I talk to them like it's already happened. Like, we're going to host the regional this year at Blinn. To do that, we got to win the conference. When we're talking about situations, when we're talking about first and third, bug coverages, it's already happened. It's already happened. Like, we're going to be at Blinn, we're hosting the regional, and this is what's going to happen. You know, and it starts with you. It starts with you in this room. Like, you have to give off that confidence. And I know, you know, I don't want to say cocky, but I do. I believe we're going to host the regional this year, and I believe we're going to win the regional and host the super regional. And you know, I think that's. I don't go telling everybody that. I think that would probably be cocky, but you know, you guys. You have to, your players have to hear that from you. And you can't be scared to talk to them like it's already happened. And so they know, so they're confident. You know, that's one thing, going back to Coach Moegle, you know, I think he had, I looked it up before I came, it was over 1,100 wins and he had 266 losses in 40 years. He won a state championship in 4 different decades in 5A in the state of Texas, which is, I don't have to tell anybody in this room how difficult that is to accomplish that, right? But the crazier part to me is, you know, he did it in 4 different decades, the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. And could you imagine the difference between the 60s and the 90s on players he's coaching and toughness? All the things that we complain about now, right? Like, kids aren't the same as they used to be. And, you know, they aren't, but I still think kids want to be challenged. And I think kids want structure. I know they want to win. I mean, nobody walks in the field, I don't think, and wants to lose, okay? I think some of them, you know, you got to find a way to get through to all of them. And I know that's not easy. But I do think that standard you set every single day, you know, like Coach Moegle did with the in and out with the 3 balls. We still do that to this day. You don't necessarily have to do 3 baseballs. You can change it to 5, you can change it to 8. You can do whatever you want. The running stuff's a little difficult now. You know, I don't know that you can run them like you're doing us, but, you know, you get creative with that stuff. I mean, I've had guys flip quarters. Flip the quarter all the way down. It's not too hard. You know, they're complaining about that. You know, mom and dad, like, flipping the quarter from foul line to foul. It's not. You know, but it's not going to get you in trouble like maybe running would nowadays. And I guess where you know, I went to Grayson out of high school after playing for Coach Moegle, and I was once again very fortunate, got to go play for Tim Tadlock, who's now the head coach at Texas Tech. And I mean, it was 180 degrees different, the approach. Like Coach Tadlock was very laid back, very much a coach's, player's coach, if you will. And, you know, at that point in time in my life, I would have told you, like, you got to run everybody like Coach Moegle did. You know, and I get to Grayson, and, you know, I don't know if we ever ran, ever, for anything, or did any extra conditioning. I mean, we just played. That was Tadlock's thing. Like, you played baseball, you played it all day, every day. We would scrimmage, we would play t-ball, we'd get off the machine. We had inter-squad. The pitchers didn't even run. Of course, in junior college at that time, he didn't even have an assistant coach. It was just Coach Tadlock by himself. And so, but I did get to see Coach Moegle and Coach Tadlock, who were like, couldn't have been more opposites, right? You know, Tadlock's great guy, still at Tech, have a lot of success. Lately, he's had a hard time with the portal. You know, I know he doesn't like that. He's a little old school, and he wants guys that want to be regulators. And so he has a hard time, and I don't want to be telling too much of his business, but he has a hard time paying somebody $100,000 to come to Tech. And so, but once again, you know, I think it's one of those deals. I mean, his priorities, he's not changing his standard. I mean, they haven't got to go to Omaha probably like he wants to. If you know him, you know he's as competitive as anybody in this room. But he's not going to change his standards when it comes to that, which to me, you know, the winning and losing, if you got to compromise your standards, or you got to compromise where the bar's at, is it really worth it? You know, I think we all got to sleep at night. So I respect that. You know, I know it's tough for him, but I think if anybody that knows him would tell you, he's as good a dude as there is as far as playing for him. Okay, and so.
Tadlock cut me.
Did he really?
But great coach. Yes, sir.
Where'd you play for him?
I played at Clarendon, and then I went to Tech.
Tech.
Yeah.
Should play there.
Yeah.
He's a
They
good.
don't want a 5'6" dude. They wanted the 6'4" dudes. You know what I mean?
We like this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I think you know. I guess my point is, you had two different philosophies, two different guys that won just as much as anybody. And you know, I will say this: they both inspired confidence and belief out of all their players. Okay, you know, and there is a difference in college and high school. I mean, there's a big difference. You guys, you know, for us, we get to pick our team, which does play into things. But the part of them believing and having confidence doesn't change. It just doesn't change. You guys definitely, there's plenty way harder about your job than my job. Like, if I'm having to teach somebody how to hit, we're probably in trouble at this level, especially at that level, at Tech, or Division I baseball. You do have to, I mean, high school baseball coaches are really the backbone of this deal. They're learning from you guys till when they get to us. So I think it's, you know, even more important for you guys to set those standards and keep that bar where you want it every day, which is at a high level, right? You guys want guys that are representing the program well, just like we are, just like we will. And so, you know, I can tell you, we one of the probably biggest lessons I ever learned as a player that I still think about to this day. When I was a sophomore at Monterey, it was a big deal to be a sophomore on varsity at that high school, it was. And in the fall, I think I was the only sophomore that was on varsity that year, and we had a little fall team. And like I was starting at second, I had a chance to play every day, and there was a senior named Shane Stuckwish that I was in direct competition with pretty much. And we used to run, we call them bleacher creatures. It was like from the 25-yard line to the 25-yard line practice football stadium at the high school. And it was like an Indian run where you had a line, the whole team lined up. The first guy went up the seat, down to the next seat, up to the next seat. We had to go down and back as a team. You had to make it in 3 minutes, and we had to do it 3 times. Okay, so that part alone would kill you. And as soon as you're done with that, he would pair you off. You had to challenge somebody on our team, and we would run a competition quarter. And so the winner, you were done. The loser, you had to stay and challenge another loser, is what Coach Moegle called it. So there were dudes running 7 or 8 quarters. They're out there all day. And anyways, Shane Stuckwish, if there was one thing I could do, it was run. I don't know how good a player I was, but I was fast. I was probably the fastest kid on the team. I'm the sophomore. I thought I was pretty hot stuff, whatever. Well, Shane, I never beat that guy, ever, not one time. And I did everything. I would sprint the whole way, he'd beat me. I'd jog halfway, try to sprint the last 50 yards, he'd beat me. I'd jog the whole way, and he never set the pace. I set the pace every single time. And he just wouldn't let me beat him. That's the only explanation I could come up with. The guy just wouldn't let me beat him. Like, it was that important to him. And sure enough, he ended up playing. He ended up playing second base that year, every day. And so that's one thing that's always stuck with me, even now as a coach, when I'm searching for all these answers like we're all searching for. It's like, you know, that we could go run a 60-yard dash straight sprint right now, and there's no way he would have beaten me ever. No shot. But you know, the bleacher running, it took your legs from you, so you had nothing left at that point except for what you're made out of. Your grit, your heart, whatever you want to call it. And obviously, he wanted it more than I did. You know, as far as playing wise, I still don't think he was a better player than me. He ended up playing every day because, you know, I think he showed that he wanted it. He showed that he had that grit. He had that little extra, whatever you want to call it. And that's kind of what I'm always searching for, is those 9 guys. Not necessarily the 9 most talented guys, but you want the 9 guys that got that grit and got that willingness to go the extra mile and to not give up when things go south, you know, because you're going to go south. Every baseball game is going to go south. There's going to be moments where things happen, and, you know, you got to have guys that just keep playing. You know, especially when you get into the postseason, the coaching really needs to stop. At least in my experience and what I tell you, I become a cheerleader when it becomes a regional tournament. You know, we screw up a first and third play, I don't even say anything. It's just, let's go, keep going, put your head down, keep playing. Just all positive. No more coaching, really. And I tell my assistants the same thing. Like, it's the regional. We're not coaching. Like, you've had all season to coach them. Now you're just tell them how good they are, basically. I don't even want to say lying to them, but you're just telling them how good they are. You're telling them, like, let's go, we're going to win. But flush them and keep playing. You know, because at those moments, you know, the trick to me is being able to play in the playoffs like you would April 12th on a meaningless Wednesday game, right? The more they make of it, the worse it's going to get. If they go into a regional or the postseason and it's the playoffs, you're in trouble. You're in trouble, just telling me, at least in my experience. The bigger they make it, the harder the fall. And I've had some really good teams that, once again, I'll go back to 2007. 3 of my 4 conference starters ended up being big leaguers. We also had that whole team. I think every player on the team was drafted or signed in the Big 12 or SEC, except for my first baseman. He ended up going to Tulane, but he hit in their 4-hole. And he's sitting in our 7-hole in junior college. But we went 0-2. We were 30-2 that year in conference in Region 5 North. This is when I was at Grayson. But you're talking McLennan, Weatherford, Temple, and this is a really good conference. And we're 30-2 in the league. And I think we were 52-8 on the year. Team ERA under 3. In fact, I had a kid that year named Nate Newman who had 15 innings for us on the year, who was Pepperdine's Friday night starter. The next year, we couldn't even get him innings because Jordan Walton, Mike Bolsinger, like they just went 7 or 8 innings every time he threw them. We went 0-2. We went 1-2 in the regional. Jordan Walton, he was an all-star with the Angels. He threw game 1. He was 96 to 100 back when nobody was even throwing 95. And so he won. He won that game. The second game, we get beat, but we're down 2-0 in like the second inning. And it's like deer in headlights. Like they didn't even know. And as a coach, you want to talk about a helpless feeling, right? When panic sets in. And if I had anything to do that year over again, I would have lost some more games, or at least put us in some more positions. I was a little younger coach. You know, I was trying to win every pitch, which you should be. But at the same time, like, it's 2-0 in the third inning, and you're seeing your 3-hole hitter swinging stuff over his head, swinging sliders, and, you know, just auto swing, right? Because it's like panic. Panic sets in. It's the regional. We have to win the game. And it can never get to that point. It can never get to that point. Like, you have to keep them playing the same game regardless whether it's the regional, playoffs, district championship game. The more they make of it, the harder they're going to try. They're going to try to make the game happen. And, you know, you can't make it happen, right? You can't. You can't force the pitch to be a good pitch to hit. You can't force the ball to be put in play to a certain position, right? You just have to play the game. You have to let it happen. If you try to force it, though, you're in trouble. That's when the extra comes. And, you know, you have to prepare your guys, and the way you do that is, at least what I do, I mean, we talk about it throughout the whole course of the year. I mean, going to Grand Junction, put them in those situations, but, you know, we physically tell them, like, you're going to go, like opening day is a good example. Opening day is about the closest thing you're going to get to like the playoffs or to like the regional tournament, because adrenaline's on high, dopamine spikes, and everybody's trying to do everything, right? And so that's where that confidence comes in and that belief that they're supposed to be there. That's where it really comes into play. You You know, if they believe they're supposed to be there, they don't make it that it's too big a deal or too much, more than it really is. Because the game doesn't know. The game doesn't know if it's a national championship game or just a meaningless game, even a fall game. It doesn't know, right? The same rules apply. The game never changes. So I think it's just, we talk about that throughout the course of the season, you know, the entire year, you know, about just keeping even keel. And, you know, I think all that stuff is great that they've been talking about today. Just any mental toughness stuff you can do, it's going to help. But, you know, at the end of the day, it's not gonna solve that problem. And the problem to me is, you know, guys trying to do more than they have to or make it bigger than it is. So, you know, I've had some really good teams. I've been lucky that I, you know, got to play for Coach Moegle. I was lucky I got to play for Coach Tadlock. I got to play at UT Pan American, which back in the day had a really good program. Coach Matlock's brought it back at UT RTD. You know, I've seen some really good teams get put in those panic moves. And, you know, as a coach, I mean, I think you being positive, especially in the postseason, in the playoffs, and not making it a big deal, and keeping it on the, you know, just another game. And I almost hate even hearing myself say that because I know how difficult this is. It's not that easy, what I'm saying. I think you do have to prepare for that, and I think you have to set that bar high every single day in order to get there. Like, they got to know that's what your expectation is to win a state championship. Like, I don't know. I know some of you guys here are probably saying, well, we don't have the players to win a state championship, and I get it. You might not. I don't know. But I know this. You can still believe that you do. The year before I got to Blinn, in 2022, I think they won 15 games. They were 15-40. You know, there was a lot of people that didn't think much of the program at that point in time, I would imagine. You know, for me, I've been at Grayson for 16 years, really 20 if you count the 4 years that I was assistant coach there. And, you know, back in the day, Blinn was a special place. And especially in the junior college baseball world, I think I was at a point in my career where it was like, you know, I didn't know if I could get it back to where it was, but it sounded intriguing. You know, I was willing to take the challenge, I guess. And it was just something new for me. You know, we had won a lot of games at Grayson. And so I know this, the day I stepped foot there, though, it was national championship, period. And that was the only outcome that was okay for me. And like, I'd be lying if I told you we were going to do it in year 2, but I knew we were going to do it. I knew it was going to happen, and I think we're going to win it again. You know, I didn't know we were going to go 3 years in a row, but we're about to make it forward. So I just think you have to be that confident with your team, and you got to show them the way. If they don't believe they can do it, they're never going to do it. You know, and to me, if the worst thing that happens is they think you're crazy, and you know, you tell them they're going to win a state championship, then who cares, right? At the end of the day. So I just, you know, and I've seen it more times than I'm willing to even go, like losing with good teams, and that's usually how it happens. Is they get in there, and those negative doubts start creeping in, and they don't believe they belong, or they don't believe that they're supposed to win, and you know, it comes true. what they're telling me. So every single day, I'm trying to plant seeds in their heads that we're going to win. We're going to host the region. We're going to win the national championship. You know, it's not a once or twice a week deal. I mean, it's every day. Every single time I talk to them, we almost talk in past tense. Not almost. We do. You know, and I even told the team in 24, the team that won it, we were going through a bad stretch, weren't playing real good, having a bad practice, brought them up and basically said, like, you know, you guys got an opportunity, and we had a good team, the talent was there, so it's like, you guys have an opportunity to do something that nobody's ever done before, ever. Blinn College had never won a national championship in baseball. They've won in football, you know, they've won them before, but never in baseball. And I told them, like, man, you guys got a chance to do something that nobody's ever done. You'll never buy a beer in Greenville, Texas for the rest of your life. Just kind of sold it to them, I guess is what I'm trying to say, you know. And then the next year, after we won it, last year, it was like, you guys got a chance to be the only team in the country that has a chance to go back-to-back. There's one team in the country that has a chance to be back-to-back national champion. And, you know, this year, I mean, we're basically 4 wins right now from being back-to-back national champions, which drives me crazy. But, you know, this year we got a chance to be the first team in the history of Blinn College to go to the World Series 4 years in a row. And, you know, those things don't happen. I mean, the stars got to really line up for those things to happen, right? When you have opportunities to do something like that, like some of you guys sitting out here, you're at high schools that have never won a state championship. Like, your team right now has an opportunity to do something that nobody that's ever played at that school has done before. And I mean, you know, you just got to sell it to them, man. That's to me, that stuff doesn't just come around every day in life, those kind of opportunities. And so, you know, you're selling that belief all day, every day. Confidence, believing that they can do it, selling them on how good it's going to be when they do it. You know, I mean, you got to get creative with it. But to me, it's more than just about, and I guess that's what I want to talk to about, because I hear a lot about the mental toughness and all that stuff. And yes, it's important. But at the end of the day, you know, I've had a lot of mentally tough teams that didn't get it done. And, you know, I just think it's more than just that. It's to me, it just all boils down to confidence and believing in yourself. Okay? So I'll end with this. Like, the more you can build that confidence every single day in everything you do, the better you're going to be. Are you going to win a state championship? I hope so. I hope you do. But if you don't believe it, the kids got no shot. They won't believe it. They're not just going to all come together on a whim and just say, let's go win a state championship. I don't think that's going to happen. So for you to get that kind of stuff accomplished, it starts with you. And, you know, like, I got some young assistants right now that I got one guy, he's going to be a phenomenal baseball coach. And he's played in the SEC. He was a catcher in the SEC. Like, this dude's going to be a stud baseball coach, right? But he can't shut up, honestly, sometimes. It's like, dude, you don't have to fix. You don't have to fix every single thing that you do. You have to let them go through it. You have to let them play. But once again, the more you fix, the more they think they're broken. That part I know, and I haven't figured much of this deal out. I don't like talking. I don't do this very often if y'all haven't figured that out, just so y'all know. It's not my cup of tea. I'd rather just sit in my office and go coach baseball. So, but like, you guys, I have figured that out. Like, you're constantly sending messages to them. Everything you do is sending messages to them. And the last message I think anybody here wants to send to your guys is that they got to be fixed all the time, right? That's not going to get the confidence you want. That's not going to get them where you want to go. And there's a very fine line, because you do want to help them get their swings right, get their mechanics right. You just have to be very careful with how you word it and how you say it. And you know, I know that's just not instilling confidence. It's just not. So you want to walk that line, and you got to keep trying to get better with it, just like I do. You know, I'm still trying to figure it out how to be. To me, I want to win national championship every single year. A lot of people are like, well, you won 2, and I'm like, well, I've lost 22. And I don't want to sound ungrateful or whatever, but I mean, it's just part of it, right? We've all been there. So hopefully you got something out of that today. If anything, just let your guys play. Let them play. Let them learn, but build them up. Build them up. Teach them how to be confident. Teach them how to believe in themselves. Let them know that you believe in them. And I promise you, you'll get more out of them than them thinking they're broken. Yep.
Thanks, Coach.